You don't
Talk to
want to
Cindy.
you don't want to disappoint the fans. Oh my God, you guys are cracking me up because okay, for anybody that's on right now with us, we're talking about how it's becoming the Tom and Gabe show, which we love, and they think that they're going to leave us and go branch out to something else.
Yeah,
Possibly.
it's been broached. The
There's
subject.
buzz. There's a buzz.
There's a buzz. Well, you guys are going to be like, who was that influencer that left YouTube for Snapchat for like
Oh, I
$30
don't
million?
know.
That's what you two are going to go do, right? You're going to
I
go.
do it for half that.
Well, yeah, it's already so lucrative, but maybe it could be more lucrative. I don't know.
You guys, your fans, you've got a lot of fans here that would be very disappointed not to see you every week. So come on, you two.
We might have
All
to
right,
have
we're
a,
good.
we might have to have a letter writing campaign or something. To say that.
I'll go out and collect signatures. I'll
I
stand in
like
front of
that idea.
Bonds. I'll stand in front of Bonds and collect signatures. Speaking of you two, though, so I was watching while we're waiting for Facebook to let everybody know that we're here. You two were on my mind completely yesterday because I don't know if I should say this out loud. Bobby Flay's not my favorite. But he did a show with his daughter. It's a new show on like one of the food channels or whatever. And he's doing all these restaurants and new hot places in LA.
Oh.
And so I was thinking of you two with the author dinners. Did you know that the woman who started Campanile has a new restaurant in the Roosevelt? Did you know that?
I think I did know that. That's
Barish. It's called Barish.
Oh, okay. I have seen that, right.
And it's
So,
That's Nancy Silverton.
yes.
so Nancy, is she on her own?
Yes.
Oh.
And it's this really cool concept. It's all like she doesn't have any burners. So there's this wide open wood burning like pit thing in the thing that she does. So she does this baked, all of her pastas are baked on this wood, on this open wood burning thing. And she does these, it uses almond wood. So the steaks get, it's mainly beef that she does, but she does do these pastas that are incredible. And the wood-fired pizzas.
Right, you gotta have the pizzas, you got the big oven.
Yeah.
I
Well,
did
now-
do it. The Roosevelt hasn't kept a restaurant, I think, for any length of time. But I remember, were you at I did do an author dinner there once.
I thought so.
It was Ramona Osabel for the first book. No One Is Here Except All of Us. Was that pre-Julie?
That's pre-Julie.
Mm.
But I thought that I'd been to that hotel for somebody, but maybe not. I don't know. But I was thinking,
That's
oh,
exciting.
I was like, oh, author dinner. So then I was watching, there was like this cool Japanese like palace that's somewhere up in the Hollywood Hills that does like really cool Japanese. And I was like, I was finding out
That's been there for a long time. Right?
forever.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's been there forever. The food is really bad. But,
Oh,
I've
is it?
never been there,
Yeah.
but I've always meant to go.
it's a fun Yamashiro's.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think that's it.
Behind the Magic Castle. It's a fun
Yeah.
place to eat. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like terrible. The food was all right. It's become kind of but it was fun. It's a fun
It
place
was
for-
more touristy looking. I have to say that they didn't really spend a lot of time on the food like they did at Barish. So
Right,
that kind of gave
you're
me a
eating the
clue.
view.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
it's a
the
cool spot,
ambiance
though.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been
I
great.
did
It's been there
kind
forever.
of pick up on that. Okay. Let's get to it's Juneteenth. And
Yeah.
thank you. I know it's probably your days off today, but thank you for coming in on tea time. Your fans are
For the
happy
people,
about that.
Julie,
For the people. For the people. So it's gonna go Tom and Gabe. So Tom, take it
All right,
away.
I'll start it off.
Yep.
So out tomorrow, Watch Us Dance by Layla Slimani. So she
Ooh.
became famous and best-selling with her very first book, The Perfect Nanny.
Mhm.
Which was not, it was kind of presented as a thriller, but it was a lot more than that. But it made her an international star. That won the big French prize, the Prix Goncourt. And so, but I don't think it represents, that was a paperback original. I don't think it really represents her larger work because the last book we published was maybe 2 years ago, and that was In the Country of Others. So that was volume 1 of this trilogy. So this is the second volume, Watch Us Dance. So she's part Moroccan and part French. And so that's what she's exploring in these novels, these historical novels, and it's a trilogy. So she's telling a big story of France, and more importantly about Morocco. Starting, the last book was in the 1950s. This new book, Watch Us Dance, is set in the 1960s. So you have a changing world, changing Morocco. A lot of revolution is in the air, and also, but at the same time, also hippies are coming to that part of the world, which, so it's an interesting time. And so it's this great stew of cultures and setting the stage for Moroccan independence. And so when we talk about a lot of historical novels on here, but this is a bigger project. This isn't just, a historical novel about a certain thing. This is a larger story of Morocco, the relationship between Morocco and France told through this one family, which is really based on her own family. So intergenerational drama. So, and I don't think you need to read them in order. I mean, if you could just start with this one or go back to the first one, which is out on paper. But this is Watch Us Dance, out tomorrow in hardcover.
Really interesting. You don't hear about this, so not
I know,
everybody's
that is
about
what's
this.
so interesting about it, because I love when I'm learning about a time and a place that I just don't know anything about.
Right.
Yeah.
And the 60s we've talked about this on the show too a lot, how the 60s were so pivotal in so many, in the United States and California, and now, across the world, is what the 60s were.
Right. And and we forget, or I forget, I'm so focused on what's happening here in the 60s, but there was change happening all over the world.
Right.
And that's what you get in this book.
And you look back at the Middle East during like the 60s and 70s, it was very progressive. I mean, it was what we were doing, they were doing, and it was just super interesting.
Right. And it's also interesting that she's both Moroccan and French, and she's been embraced by the French literary world, but I think she's now living more in Morocco than France. I think she sees herself more as Moroccan in a way. So
yeah, interesting.
It's interesting.
Sounds really good one. On the comment section here, they said Tom and Gabe are Beth's cracking herself up because she says she's old, but Tom and Gabe are leaving for the young kids for TikTok. You guys are going to be
Gabe, we could try TikTok and see how
Instagrammers on TikTok. Do either of you even know how to use it?
Not me.
Come on, you push a button for, obviously there's a button that says record or something.
I just learned how to take a selfie, so I think I'm good. I can do it.
As long as we don't have to dance.
I think you do.
But if we danced, imagine if Tom and Gabe danced.
Oh.
You don't want to know. You don't want to know.
You guys are good. All right, Gabe. Take us away.
All right, I am going to discuss an old favorite, a new favorite, Matthew Quirk, local San Diego author. Why not? And as always, he does a good job. He gives you
Can we
really
just share this page that's got the Harper discount?
No, that's not what I meant to share. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It's a holiday, Jules.
Good point.
You're looking at Holiday Gabe here.
You get Holiday Gabe.
Sorry, you spill your drink, everything goes crazy.
Everything goes crazy around here. Oh, Amanda's putting on TikTok for Dummies. She's going to tell you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Amanda, don't encourage us. We'll TikTok.
Yeah, Amanda, you got to work with me here. We got to keep these guys.
Right.
Okay, there we go.
I know somebody who I can get a Dummies book from. So this is Matthew's latest, and it's just as good and as quick, fast-paced and pounding thriller, page turner. You just can't wait to get back to it. You can't stop reading it at night. He managed to create these really good writers, get good characters, and I think that's what drives a lot of. Why does he work for me? And I really like his characters, and he doesn't repeat necessarily, but the characters are always strong. And in this case, we've got a hardcore, a Secret Service agent, a guy who's given his life to the service. Eric Hill, very much respected. And there is a alarm sounding, and there's a threat to the president, and the president has moved from the White House to an off DC bunker, offsite bunker outside of DC for protection, and he is taken away. And what we find out as we get in there is that the actual breach has occurred not only in the White House, but the assassin is actually in the bunker with them. And who's the assassin? And the whole thing begins with Eric, the protagonist, growing disillusion with DC as the corruption and the politics precede the will of the people and stuff. So he's a little disgruntled going into this book, but you know what? By golly, he's going to solve the case because he's an American and he's going to take care of business, which he does in epic fashion as always. Really well done. You get to the really satisfying conclusion, and you want to wait for the next Matthew Quirk book. And hopefully, people have caught on to him. The Night Agent did really well. It was, Netflix's #1 show for a couple of weeks. It was up in the top 10 for quite a few weeks. And people were binging it and watching it. And, we saw it here. My kids saw it. It's multi-generational fun. So hopefully there'll be another Matthew Quirk series, because I thought they did a really good job with that. It was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah,
Yep.
And we just had an event with him last week. Had one of the best audiences we've had for him at the store. So I think people are we had a nice full house for him. So I think people are catching on that he does a really good job with that genre. And I love it. I love those.
It's fun to have something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a perfect this time of year, just get you through.
And a couple of
reading.
those,
Yep. That's all good. Okay. So Gabe, Kim just finished Yellowface.
What you think? I'm curious what you think, because
she said it must have prompted some hold on. The comment just went away. She said it must have prompted some interesting conversations among publishers and booksellers. She said it's a lot to think about.
Well, my wife's a writer and she read it, and she read it from that point of view.
Okay.
And she thought it was interesting. She thought it was provocative, but she was kind of like, whoa, she's saying some things. So from her point of view, she kind of skewers publishing a little bit and kind of gets her fans a little bit. I mean, it's the whole fame thing that she's attacking. I was listening to the radio this morning, driving around, and somebody mentioned, was it Bowie? Bowie just didn't love the fame. I'm like, dude, that's why we do rock and roll.
Right. We do it for the fame. Yeah.
We do it for the fame. But so there's that's an attachment. So I'm just always curious what people think, because it is like it has absolutely in our household definitely been a topic of conversation. Deborah, when she read it really early on, and she was like, I need to find somebody who's read it because I really want to talk about it. So she was anxious to chat it up with somebody.
Well, Beth in here has read it too, and she just finished it literally 10 minutes before tea time started, and she agrees with Kim's. So that might be a really good. I have the next book club pick. Who is
the author of that?
That's my girl Rebecca Kwong, who did
Babel.
Babel most recently.
Oh,
and then her series before that was, that trilogy she did before that was quite successful. And then Babel just went nuts.
Yeah.
And this book was nuts.
This is already a bestseller, right? I think.
It jumped on, yeah.
Yeah,
week,
I saw that.
Right on. #1 Indie Next. It had 80 votes for Indie Next. It was a monster number.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyways, yeah. Cool. All right, Tom, what do you got next for us?
Okay, so another summer reading pick. Very different than Gabe's pick, but Talking at Night by Claire Deverly, a first novel. It's a debut. And I've talked about Pam Dorman on this show before. She's the editor of Pamela Dorman Books, and one of my favorite people in publishing. And she just has a fantastic eye for commercial books that a lot of people are going to enjoy. So Talking at Night is being published all over. It was a big international sale, so it's being published all over the world, not at the exact same time. We're publishing a little bit ahead of the UK, but it's set in the UK. I think it is Scotland. The author lives in Scotland, and I think it's Scotland. But it's a love story. It's an addictive love story of first love. So these are, what are their names? Will and Rosie. Rosie's they're archetypes in a way. Rosie's the good girl. Will is the bad boy. And they meet, they fall in love as teenagers. And then so it's about their lives. They keep coming back to each other. They can't quit each other. They can't, despite tragedy that happens, they're separated by school as they go away. One of them goes away. And I devoured this book, or like before the last sales conference. So for the summer list, our sales conference, it was one of the first books I read because I trust Pam's, I'm not the reader exactly for this book.
Right.
But I couldn't stop reading. So that's a testimony to the power of the story and the power of the characters. And it took me back a little bit to 10 million years ago, but it's Endless Love, which was by Scott Spencer, which was about that feeling of first love. So I think there's always a time for another generation to talk about what the feeling you had when you first found love. And that's what Talking at Night is. And there are great quotes. We've got Carly Fortune, who wrote Every Summer After, says, "A gorgeous story of first love, loss, and the people who stick to your ribs. It should be on everyone's must-read list. Beautiful, poignant, and heart-wrenching in the best possible way." And I would just say I devoured it. So it's very readable. Talking at Night, Claire Deverly.
And you're right, Tom. I think that's a perennial topic that each generation kind of comes to. And that's why some of the older books keep bubbling back up too. With that kind of a topic. So I love that.
And I was pleased that it touched something in me from my distant past. And so I would, even though it's not a book I would, anyone would normally think I would read, I really enjoyed the experience.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. And Pam Dorman, we can't forget, she's Jojo Moyes. She's Jojo Moyes. She's, Richard Osman, right?
Yeah. I may be talking to Richard Osman soon.
Oh,
so.
Yeah. There might be one to talk about. All right. Gabe, go.
Husband's on a tight schedule, it looks like. I like him I see him a lot on the Graham Norton show.
Oh yeah, right. Entertaining, right?
Oh, he's funny. I love him. I think he's hilarious.
Oh, I love this cover.
Yeah, Psyche and Eros.
That's a really good cover.
Yeah, the colors are amazing. Great cover. Really good telling, really good retelling. PW or somebody said this is, or actually one of the reviewers, this is storytelling, Greek storytelling, myths telling as it should be done. So it is the story of Psyche and Eros. It is a young Psyche who is is an only child in this case. So she changes things a bit. She's an only child. She's very independent. She's been taught by her father to seek her destiny, and she shoots an arrow as well as anyone. And she's ready to go find her future. But she angers the goddess. I forget which goddess she upsets. Got to go back. And the gods being fickle in these days. Being as fickle as they are, she sends Eros to pretty much put a spell on her, and he's going to shoot her with an arrow, and she's going to be hopelessly in love. And you know how the story goes. And in this case, Eros pricks himself with the arrow that's meant for Psyche, and then he falls in love with her. The twist in the tale here is that we have two characters who are initially not very pleasant necessarily. So you're not like rooting for anybody. Psyche's a little bit of a spoiled little girl. She has her charms, but she's kind of spoiled and kind of headstrong, which is fine, but not the nicest kid on the block. And Eros is just become bored with things, and he's just very blasé about everything and barely motivated to do anything. So you have this sort of lackluster character without much interest in anything, and she smashes them together, and it is a really, really lively. Jennifer Saint calls it a riotous adventure through the ages of Greek mythology, populated by a cast of vivid and glittering characters, and it's funny. So this book is it's a real page turner. It's a real fun book to read. If you have read all of these other things, and Madeline Miller's, of course, being the biggest, and our own Natalie Haynes, 10,000 Ships has done very, very well, which won the Women's Prize. As well. I think that's the audience for this book. People who like fantasies, certain kind of fantasies. I think it'll cross over to the regular fiction reader. It's just a fun read, which is what we, why we read, with a really fun cast of characters.
Amanda was on here and she thought it was Hera that gets mad all the time, but she actually thinks it was Aphrodite who gets mad all the time. I kind of like that. Okay, I think Tammy Greenwood is on here and she agrees with you, Tom. Tammy Greenwood's one of our wonderful authors that lives here in San Diego. I just finished her new book. I'm going to show you guys a sneak peek of her new book, which I just finished and loved and can't wait for you all to, let's see. Look at that cover. Isn't that a great cover?
Oh my
Great
God.
cover.
Yeah,
It's
that's
all,
fantastic.
it's so good. It's all about, I think it's being described as Big Little Lies meets, I don't know what, with like, just in the world of young women and mothers and their daughters in the dance world. And
Oh yeah.
having lived through that with my own kids, there were so many things that, but it's so good. I think it's coming
That's a
out in
great,
August.
that's a great image too. Wow.
Really great cover and
cover.
such a good book. And I think we're going to be doing the launch event with Tammy in August. And yeah, Beth, isn't that a great cover? I absolutely love that one. So let me see. Let me get rid of, okay, got rid of screen share. So yeah. So hi, Tammy. Always love it. But she said she thinks Endless Love was brilliant too. So she was agreeing with you on that one. Okay, I wanted to talk about one really quickly too, before we get to the lightning round. This one is a really fun one for the summer as well. And let's see if I can get to it without having too much difficulty here. Technical difficulties. It's called Such Good Friends, and it is about Truman Capote and Lee Radswell. And it's set in, it's the Swan, the whole Swan story. This is, yes, it's fiction, but this had me Googling, going down rabbit holes. It's got just the perfect, he created the perfect Truman Capote voice, the betrayal that happens between them. You are invested from the moment this book starts to go. It's a paperback original, great for summer. It just came out, I think, like the end of May. So if you're looking for, if you like that time period and you like kind of that catty sort of dishing among friends.
I have always been obsessed with that Truman Capote story and the swans and the falling out. Yeah, that looks, you can't tell that story enough. I think.
Can't tell it enough. And I know it's been done, but I just, for whatever reason, I dove into this one and was all in. It's really good. So just want to mention that one as a little lightning round preview. All right, here we go. We're gonna be done in record time.
So, but first,
we don't have to be lightning.
I wanted to recommend a movie before I get to mine, because I went to a theater yesterday. I hadn't done that for quite a while, and so it ties in with Talking at Night because it's called Past Lives, and it is fantastic. It is, but it's about young love. It's Korean American. It's a Korean and Korean American story across distance, and it takes place over 24 years of their relationship. I don't really want to say much more than that, but every image, every scene, every line of dialogue is perfection. It is gorgeous to look at. It is just a beautiful, beautiful movie that so many people will, I hope it gets, I think it's going to get a wider and wider release, but
is it based on it's not based on a book or anything? It's just a good movie?
No, she's the author and I think she wrote the screenplay and directed it. She's a playwright.
Okay.
But this is her first film. So again, it's kind of amazing when you read a book by a debut author and you're like, wow, how did they pull this off on their first try? This is the same kind of thing. But I think, it captures that feeling of, young love, but then it's mature love because I don't want to give too much away because there are surprises, but it's so good.
Ooh, looking for a good one. Just before you go to your pick, Tammy's on here. Her book's not coming out till February. sorry, I was thinking it was August, but
Oh,
it's
that's a
February.
real preview.
So that's a real
Great preview.
preview, but you can go ahead and pre-order it from us. We'll have them
Yes.
waiting for you.
Never too early.
You know
Never
what?
too
It's
early.
nice when the book just shows up. You're like,
I
Yeah.
know. Hey,
didn't
I
know
forgot I
heard this
ordered
8
that.
months ago.
I know, because trust me, with my brain, I don't remember what I talked about yesterday,
Yeah,
let
right.
alone.
But when you get that in that book that arrives in February, you'll be like, that's right, Julie told me about that book.
Right, I heard about that one. All right.
All right, Richard Osman.
Oh,
Just coming in paper, it's out in paperback tomorrow, so I can't let it go by because if you waited for some reason and didn't get it in hardcover, out in paper tomorrow. The Bullet That Missed, the book 3 in the Thursday Murder Club series. The reviews continue to be, best. I love when a series just doesn't disappoint book after. So far, either you love this one just as much as the last one or more.
Right.
And it's definitely building, and audience keeps building. And then we have the 4th in the series in September, The Last Devil to Die. So I'll definitely be talking about that come September. Haven't read that one yet, but it's on my list. So out in paper, Richard Osman's The Bullet That Missed.
and we have huge, huge, huge fans of the staff of Richard. So he is can't go wrong.
Yeah, they're hilarious, but they're really good mysteries too. And he's deepening the characters with each book, I think. And
Now I only read the first one. So is it the
Okay.
same? Is it the same cast of characters that are in
Yes.
the rest home that are solving? Okay. Oh,
yeah.
okay,
So that's Ibrahim, Ron, Joyce, and Elizabeth.
okay.
And with each book, you're getting deeper and deeper into their pasts.
Okay.
And he's not afraid to have violence happen in them. They're not just simply cozies.
Right.
So they're hilarious because he's hilarious. So.
Yeah, he is really funny. And if you ever, we were part of the virtual events with him, but if you just Google him, you can see him talking about his books too. Really
Right.
funny.
Yeah. I'd love to meet him in person someday.
I know. Okay, Gabe, take us home.
I'm gonna take you home with something fun. Just a really terrific Harper author. This is our second book with Gail Tsukiyama. This is her 9th book, but only her second with us. And she's just a lovely person. I'm glad she's with us. I always enjoy her books. She always provokes, and this is the first time she writes about a real life person. So this is The Brightest Star, and the brightest star is Anna May Wong, who was born Liu Wong in Santa Monica, California, went to Los Angeles High School right there on Venice, and at 19, 20 was discovered and got into the movies. But because of miscegenation laws, she could never be a leading lady because you couldn't have an Asian woman kissing a white man. And she came up against a lot of racism, obviously, and just the very nature of, LA in the 30s, 40s is not LA that it is today. There were a lot of laws on the books. There was a lot of neighborhoods. I grew up in the 70s. You didn't walk around Glendale if you were a Black person in Glendale. They'd escort you out real quick. And this was like the 70s or the 80s. And then you find out Glendale's was a kind of a Nazi stronghold. They have a big park there that they have big Nazi rallies. LA got some interesting history. And that of Anna May Wong is part of the great LA history and Hollywood history. And Gail just does a really great job. It's an homage to a young actress who never got her due, but was quite popular abroad, as a lot of marginalized people in the States find. They're very popular in Europe and Asia when they can barely make a living here. So she had some successes, but never what could have possibly been. But a really fun story, nice chapter of Southern California life, a very interesting daughter of Southern California. And a California author. Gail is from the Bay Area,
and it's I did never heard of Anna May Wong until a year ago, 2 years ago, but it seems like that her story is becoming much more prominent, more books being written, because it's a fascinating glimpse at a Hollywood history. And
which is always fun. I mean,
Yeah.
for us here in LA, that we grew up with the Hollywood immersion, and
Yep.
they also minted a quarter with her face on it.
I thought so. I was
last
thinking it
year.
was a stamp, but you're right. Yeah.
It was a quarter last year.
Yeah.
So
People are in the chat talking that they're hearing about it too. So it was specifically about this one too. So
And I think there might be a biography coming from someone, not from
Ew.
Penguin, but so definitely it's a story like this is what happens in publishing, like something's in the air.
it's so
in the air.
weird because everybody thinks that like everybody knows, but they don't.
No.
That, you know, it's very odd how it all kind of comes together, the synergy
Right.
that happens around a topic sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a Google, I don't know. It's a Google search thing. Somebody's pulling some strings up there.
you know, it's sometimes they're just like, why are all of a sudden there's two biographies of somebody, and they're like, why?
Yeah.
Like, it was purely accidental.
Yeah.
Some
Exactly,
academic
right.
years,
It
some
is more
academic-
accidental than intentional for sure. I mean, there's
Right.
never really anything that's making it. There's no.
And it's
like,
great
you know-
that like her life is worthy of a biography and a historical novel and all
Yeah.
kinds of different iterations of that story.
All right, we finished in record time. Everybody can go
Yeah.
back to gave us some great recommendations for stuff coming out this week and some older stuff, and we're keeping you reading. So before Tom and Gabe go off to TikTok,
I mean, we're not saying we are.
No, we're not yet. Not yet. No.
not yet.
But we're not saying
Their
we're not.
stars might not have risen quite far enough yet. for
Certain
that.
things need to be ironed out before we.
Yeah. It's like live golf and PGA. It's like, you know,
I hope it's like that. Oh my God.
Yeah, man. I like some of that.
you want some of that
big
blood
fan of
money?
the- I'm not a big
Yeah.
fan of that live thing.
We'd have to make some moral decisions though, so.
Yeah, got to keep the morals in straight. It's principles.
Yeah.
I think it was in The Way We Were when Katie says, "People are their principles." Hubble. There you go. That's my girl.
Always
right
comes
there.
back.
Always comes back
Come
to
back to
Barbara.
back.
Coming this fall.
In case you missed it.
In case you missed it. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Next week.
Thanks for coming in. Bye.